É, Cgqm private living main room. So we will have a conversation today. I have no idea if it will be possible post this upload today. We are on Rio de Janeiro City, National State Brazil, Federative Unity Rio de Janeiro, RJ, July 20, 2022. We will have a conversation here, quite simple, quite clear, considering some relevant issues. The first issue, we suggested to the judicial power in charge track, you know, elements they need using my social media and my email accounts, kind of having the open data with this international judicial power, because they will observe if has interest on issues presented or reported by free will, by goodwill, no expectation as payment in a global conjuncture ruled by, in many cases, criminal purpose, even hidden by misuse of chair, prerogative, and institution. When you had the systematic distribution of voting elements on key places on the institution and having the interconnection, you have something named systemic risk. Was complained on microconjuncture against the microconjuncture Brazil 2014 by IMF, UNODC, and of course that 2014 Brazil hosted a global event. The macro perception is unveiled. We had our model yesterday showing that the global distribution of risk, considering the east, the west, and the center, goes by transference of risk, forming a big bubble, our systemic risk. On 2014 was complained in Brazil. Brazil had been hosting global events since 2014 and having scams on it, especially on budget, traced with open data, with financial intelligence offered as asset, even having no respect from Brazil and not recognized as an asset by Brazil, despite the aggression made. We consider that the systemic risk and operating like this is something very difficult to get and control, reduce, and have the ataraxia as something on system management named the negentropy and the homeostasis. So we can divide this on circles, considering the circle east as risks, west, and center. And then we will pick only the west because we are at the western society. And by comparative, you can get this kind of thing on your structure and do the same. We will have the South America, the North America, and the Europe. The South America had, even since 2007, as Pan American Games on Rio de Janeiro City, Rio de Janeiro State, Federative National State, Brazil. 2014, FIFA used to complain at systemic risk, but the systemic risk as microconjuncture on global economy is hosting all interests of the globe as economic center, and doing this again in 2016 and having this one more time, but now integrated and with interaction at the covariant. We can get that the regression using the model, we have only the paradigm as South America and North America, We have alpha and beta. Technical stuff here, technical stuff here. And we will have the cross-cut alpha and beta leading to A and B, A and B, A and B trying to change colors. And indeed, as a matrix, we will have this regression inside the matrix by a sampling group that is the failure, and the sampling group is the failure one more time, and you have the C as chairs, which implies the corruption as risk behavior, having the storage of personnel and employees by hiring process, doing contracts, and sometimes have misuse of institutional prerogatives or offering the state power by payment. The function density up to n, which is the number of nations, leads to 197, unveiled 198 as immigrant. We've sometimes got entrance in any area or in many areas, and having requirement as social benefit, electoral vote and things like this. The 199 as the transnational organized crime that has no nationality, no gender, no color, no creed. And the constitutional committee, let's suppose that I have no nationality, no gender, no color, no creed, and I'm not a criminal. By inference, you will have your conclusion. But this conclusion only can be confirmed by other elements at this cluster as security, which is the international security system raised by my own effort. Then, but I can't be on it because I am an audit. The audit must have not relation with nothing, no nationality, no gender, no color, no creed. You will observe that this model allowed us as getting that the South America driver, Brazil, with failures will be related with North America driver, USA, and Europe driver, you know them all. Europe is complicated. Then we but simple in the same way. But the failure will be related only with the failure by the tropism, the attraction that you have, tracking them from Brazil, public budget. Indeed, you get them all. Preventive control we made on 2022. We will have now our conversation today, quite simple, quite clear. The first issue is the electoral procedure in Brazil, and you have the entrance as military force on it. But you can do this because it's the law. The military forces can be inside the election or something like this. They can vote. They must have no contact with this kind of issue. They did a reported risks, and of course that all those risks exist. Because you have that crap on the board, animal, named deep web scam. Changing data, especially on public departments, setting senseless cases, offering innocence as a market supported by the market of state power as judicial decision. All abusive procedure has at least the signature of one judicial chair. They had no dismiss. They have the continuity of this. We have a lot of instability at the communication sector in Brazil, violating a lot of basic rights and guarantees allowed me to charge you and present this charge as a creditor committee, a committee with legitimacy to execute and charge this credit. You wouldn't like to pay, you commit fraud against the legitimacy of creditors, the legitimacy of the credit, which is the basic rights confirming your intention against my guarantees as aggression. And now at this Creditors Committee, we complain at the international judicial power that suggested to apply you the financial punishment, and you commit the same kind of thing against the judicial power has legitimacy to apply the financial penalty against you because you consider that you will be protected by the institution that are hosting you as a criminal inside. That deep web scam is a criminal scam. You will observe that the military forces must be concerned with the frontiers as Brazil and entire South America. Because we will use our model that is here is our global system, the planet Earth. Inside the planet Earth, we have a sampling group, the same idea as observed here at this situation doing the regression. We having this thing as a struggle between two different areas, the area alpha and the area beta. The area alpha and the area beta. We have technical stuff to do this analysis in the same way. If you are a serious mental at the military group or army or security, you can do a geopolitical analysis. For instance, if you have a lot of instability at the communication sectors and the electoral procedure is based on the communication structure, and you have a current event as migration for 5G, which is a horizon that you have no idea about things that can go, considering only your interest to have as having the migration of things modified to take advantage and put others down. Of course, that you have the very possible probability as having a big mess at this election by the sector as communication, which is the electoral procedure as itself, but the premise as input to operate this procedure as electoral procedure based on communication sector, which is the digital space. Simple to do this. And with fake records in the same way, you wouldn't have no idea about this until you have this report. And it's not reported for Brazil because Brazil considered that I am the enemy of Brazil. Despite do all things to support and uphold the law and the constitution. And globally speaking, we will observe that the cross-cut between alpha and beta at this area as a struggle, setting things kind of with the attraction as interest to be at this area implies that we will have other areas as micro-perception, transferring influence at the very first moment to this area here. They all are here. And after be inside this zone, which belongs to the struggle, we'll have the division for the side alpha or the side beta, and they will ranking as possibility 1 up to 197. Here is our model. This model can be transferred as a frequency, considering the Monte Carlo model as distribution 0, alpha, and beta. And we are doing a trade analysis to understand who is getting this. Now let's suppose that we had the division of the global system based on this kind of things as interest, but they two both are a failure inside my sigma. You know? See? KGB. They are a failure inside the global system. It implies that alpha at this case is like beta by relativity, Einstein, Western society. Then we will check that. What do you think? Do you think that having this kind of attraction and two both as a failure, anyone else is here? Now, one more time, they two both as failure global, considering them all failure associated, your scam is destroyed. just like that crap on the board. But this was a simulation. It's to be like this. The real communism. You work very well. So we have a division here as share and payroll, and will be covered by things we suggested, reported, and did. The payroll goes like this: 33 trillion as compensation, 3 trillion as financial punishment. The 33 trillion to roll, I would say, has a condition 1% of first 3 trillion. And I have 50-50 with the other financial sets. I think that is 15 billions for me, 15 billions for the other financial sets. My 15 billion, I applied 3 billion on Europe, urbanism. They must be adapted to the hostile condition as the big heat at temperature that you are facing, and put windows at the public services transport, the bus, especially in UK, consider having an air conditioner, and another one, 3 billion for security. Here we are considering the KGB, the CIA, and 1.5 billion as royal stamp by the crown, the queen. Then we will have a general rule as using this resource. The first one, do not have any kind of aggression against my research as something unfair in the way we have. The second, who is receiving this shouldn't be associated with who had this aggression, because this aggression is against the constitution, the law, the order, the constitutionalism, because it's the order based on premise that you put before apply this. You can invent the law, invent a crime like the Supreme Court of Rotten Errors like to do. You are not on feudalism, you are not, despot, something like this, despite you consider, because you can handle your own vices. We'll finish here. The geopolitical analysis is over. The military forces in Brazil must be concerned with the frontier at the entire South America. This is the Brazil. This is the frontier. You had people coming inside. Take a look at your space. Even at the COVID-19, considering the misery that is spread at this entire continent, and the Brazil shouldn't be on it. And we are having the Mercosul as current conversation as leaders. But we had problems here, kind of having the ranking as payment of salary, considering the adjustment, but the salary must be paid as public service without the adjustment. So you set the ranking at least as preference, setting the dominance by this, and this goes at the forces as security. And in the same way, the spirit you are having the speech trying to have the parliamentarism or something like this, with the prime minister in Brazil changed the regiment as political organization. But this is something that is a crime at the military law and the national security law. And you, at the spirit having the same way that case Greenwald, that you kept your mouth shut in the way you always do, because you are a fraud, you all. You wouldn't have and shouldn't have consider and insist that the army will be at the electoral procedure. You must hire the KPMG, the Deloitte, or the Ernst Young as the big four. They do the audit and do it for free. So we will consider that the military forces that you reckon at this during all those years must take a look at the law, especially the law that put them different, and they lost all elements that make them different, like the retirement payment and things like this, the social benefits, the college, the food at the headquarters, to be here, during the period of election. If they are here, It's the same model as you could observe the Brazil failure as we will call the attraction as military forces to be at the election. And then your constitutional and legal attribute as institution, as military, as the skeleton of the state, the Brazilian state, will not be here at best, that you must be, especially at this period. What do you think? Am I your enemy? You consider that I am, but I give a fuck to you. Have a good night.